tonight on the Final Play.
Catch this. Drew Brees is the GOAT, the greatest ever, no debate.
The Saints turned to Drew Brees' legs to hurdle the Falcons in overtime. We've got reactions from the locker room and analysis from Deuce McAllister.
This definitely helps. I mean, because from a confidence standpoint, your first road game, but it's against a division rival.
Plus, LSU remains undefeated, but remains a work in progress after letting Louisiana Tech linger. We'll recap a busy weekend of college football, including big wins for Nichols and Southeastern. And the gridiron was full of action in high school as well. We've got the best of Week 4 and a preview of the Pelicans. All the Final Play, starting right now.
From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Final Play. Sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealer. Built Ford tough. And Nissan.
Welcome into the Final Play. I'm Juan Kincaid. Motivational speeches were not necessary from Saints head coach Sean Payton today because nothing gets his team going more than facing the Falcons. It's a rivalry that began in the late 60s, and as you saw today, it's only gotten better as it's gotten older. Sean Vazan gets it started tonight with a recap of today's thriller in the ATL.
We came into the Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Sunday expecting a shootout between the Saints and the Falcons. And that's exactly what we got. 80 total points, 9 different lead changes, and nearly 5 quarters of football. But in the end, it was the Saints on top 43-37 to improve to 2-1.
It was a hard-fought game by both teams. Momentum went back and forth quite a bit. And I'll credit our players, their players as well. Guys were tired by the end of the game.
But not in the beginning, which is where this track meet started. The Saints came out smoking. Drew Brees connected with Michael Thomas on the first play of the game for 45 yards. 3 plays later, he hit Ted Ginn Jr. to go up 7-0. But Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan figured out the Saints' defensive weakness very early. And he wore number 26. Starting in place of Ken Crawley, P.J. Williams was torched for 2 first-half touchdowns by Calvin Ridley. The first from 18 yards, the second from 75 yards.
Look, he's a talented player. He got behind P.J. on a double move with the first touchdown and then got on top of him the next time with a heavy play action.
Ridley would add another one in the second half, but for every Falcons punch, the Saints threw a counter. When Atlanta went up 21-16, Alex Okafor stepped up with a blocked punt. That led to Brees finding Cam Meredith for his first catch and first touchdown as a Saint to go up 23-21. Penalties were certainly a problem for the Saints. Not only did it kill drives on offense, it extended Falcons drives on defense. Williams was flagged for a pass interference call on 3rd down. The Falcons would score on the very next play. Then, in the 4th quarter, after forcing a field goal, David Onyemata was flagged for illegal contact with the center. On the next play, the Falcons scored again to go up 37-30.
We'll look at each one of them. Obviously they're problematic when you're in a game like this. I thought they were offsides on Drew's sack early in the game. In fact, I know they were. But you got to begin to tune out that. We're going to focus on finding a way to get the win and not allow that to be a factor here.
But like they did all game, the Saints responded. Brees steadily marched his team back and finished off the drive with his feet. He used a spin move to beat 2 Falcons defenders en route to the end zone.
I felt like they were coming to try to take my head off, and I could probably spin out of this, and it was just a reaction. But I keep telling my flag football team that spin moves are good, and they're not getting it. They're not believing me. So I'm glad that happened because now I have video evidence to show them that, hey, spin moves work. Spin moves are good.
I've been battling this plantar fascia for the last 2 months, and I told him it felt like it hurt me more watching him. Honestly, it started aching. My plantar fascia started hurting watching him. But anyway, it was a good play. It was a good run.
But even that wasn't enough. The Falcons had the ball with 1 minute and 15 seconds left in 3 timeouts. But the Saints defense rose to the occasion to get the stop that they needed to force the game into overtime.
Huge. There's a lot of pressure the first 3 plays or whatever, and then got the ball back and sent it on overtime. That's exactly what we want our defense to happen.
In overtime, the Saints won the toss, got the ball, and never gave it up. Their sole 7-minute and 2-second drive ended with another Breeze run, but this time it was over the top and into the end zone.
Long drive. That drive felt forever. You know, I don't know exactly how many plays it was, but just felt like, man, just one step at a time here and just keep inching forward and let's go down and end this game in our hands.
Catch this. Drew Brees is the GOAT, the greatest ever, no debate.
We now welcome in former Saint and Saint Hall of Famer, Fox 8 Sports analyst Deuce McAllister. And Deuce, inside that locker room after the game, that was the look of a team that had let everything out on the field. They had completely emptied their tank. I mean, this was a heck of a win for the Saints.
Yeah, I think you call it emptying the bucket. And, you know, for a team that really, you know, trying to find themselves, you lose your nickel starter, you rotate your outside corners, and, you know, you really are looking. But they did enough at the end to be able to get away with it. You get the ball back first as far as overtime is concerned. You take it down there, and, you know, it's almost improbable moves and plays, you know, and it's just this definitely helps. I mean, because from a confidence standpoint, your first road game, but it's against a division rival. And so I think that all compounded, and they'll tell you, hey, look, man, we didn't play well, but we got a W.
When you get a win like this, can it galvanize a little bit? Can it kind of bring it? Because they have not played their best games before this. This was obviously, I think it was their best play game, even though they didn't play great. They still got the win. Can it galvanize a little bit?
It will galvanize, and I think when they go back and they look at the run game, that defensive line was outstanding. You know, the linebackers did a really good job of filling gaps and holes. And look, they hit a couple runs or two, but, you know, for the most part, they were tackle for losses. I think it was 7 tackle for losses, and, you know, they were able to get enough pressure on Matt Ryan to make him uncomfortable. The thing that we go back and we look at are the big plays. You know, you just had too many explosive plays, and you knew this was a talented group, but, I mean, but at the end of the day, it's a W.
Big plays. Why don't we go there next? I mean, look, I don't think it was any secret. Matt Ryan found 26 early. They targeted him. Ridley had a big game, 3 touchdowns. He had over 100 yards in the first half. They've already benched Crawley once. They brought him back in. Do we have an issue at cornerback right now?
I wouldn't be surprised, you know, because Patrick Robertson is going to be down for a couple weeks. They're going to have to, you know, whether it's re-signing Arthur Blanchard, whether it's bringing somebody else in, they're going to have to do something at that cornerback position. You know, both of those guys are really good players, not playing with a lot of confidence right now and letting the ball get over the top. And so that's not going to be acceptable in this league. You know, today you were able to get away with it, but it's something that they have to get cleaned up.
I don't know if they went into today wanting to get Alvin Kamara 34 touches, but he got 34 touches. Deuce, I'm sure you've been in games where you've gotten a lot of touches before. We talked to him after the game. He looked completely exhausted. What does that do to a running back, and can the Saints realistically keep that pace going with number 41?
I don't think they can keep it going with him, but, I mean, he's a dynamic player. And so for them, I would give him a Wednesday off, you know, a vet day off to be able to just get his body back up underneath and make sure that he can go and help you next week to win. You know, but at the end of the day, you had to give him the ball because he was making plays. And so whether it was run game, pass games, the one that I didn't like was the punt returns. Yeah. You know, I thought, you know, they put Ted Ginn back there. He's taking enough hits. Hey, look, let's slow it down. Let's use him offensive only.
Were you surprised to see Taysom Hill? Not that he got in the game, but he was in a lot of different. He was kickoff returner. He was on punt return, punt block. He was on. He handed the ball off. He went in motion. He didn't just play quarterback. I mean, he was everywhere.
He's a young player. He'll be fine. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of hits on the body. They used him in a lot of different ways, and, you know, I saw him being used as a blocker on the edge. They handed him the speed sweep. You know, obviously we talk about the return and kick game, but, you know, he did fine. Outstanding, really.
I mean, that run was something. That zone read where he burst, I think, for 40 yards. That really was something.
Zone read, and they couldn't tackle him. They had a horse collar him to bring him down. It shows you how big and strong he is.
He really is. He's athletic. He does a lot of different things for this team. And last question here. Look, they're 2-1. They turned the corner a little bit. I kind of feel like today was
slowly coming around and slowly coming around the corner. That's where they are right now.
They are 2-1. They beat their arch nemesis. Hey, they got the victory. Deuce, thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Deuce will have more for us tomorrow. He's got a pretty full schedule on Monday. 8 a.m. Black and Gold Rewind, 5 p.m. 2-minute drill, and at 10:35 it's the Black and Gold Review Show, an all-encompassing look at the game. You can start submitting questions for that show right now by using the FinalPlay app's Final Word feature. We're just getting started here on the Final Play. Coming up, Chris Hagan breaks down why Drew Brees doesn't mind going back to the well. It's how he broke a record today. And later, we'll head to campus because LSU's still undefeated. Nichols is riding high after a big Southland win, and Tulane's headed back to the drawing board. Our Fox 8 catch of the week was a no-brainer. It came in the second quarter of today's game on the Saints' fourth possession. Drew Brees to Michael Thomas, pass completion number 6,301, passing Brett Favre for first place in the NFL record books. As for the completion to Thomas, it was good for 19 yards, another Saints first down. It's also good enough to be our Fox 8 catch of the week. Thomas may have caught the record-breaking pass, but he was one of 9 different receivers that Brees hooked up with today. Spreading the ball around has been a hallmark for Brees and Sean Payton's offense, but when things get tight, like down the stretch today, Brees shortens his own list of options. Here's Chris Hagan.
You know, I know, and the Falcons know that when it's crunch time, Drew Brees is looking for his favorite targets, Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. It was even a frequent topic of conversation this week that the Saints needed to get more players involved. Yet Atlanta still had no answer for Thomas or Kamara. Of the 32 first downs picked up by the Saints, those 2 were responsible for 16. And in the process, Thomas set a new NFL record with 38 receptions in the first 3 weeks of the season.
He's a guy who knows when the ball's coming to him. He knows where to be. He knows where I want him to be, where the ball's going to be. There's just a lot of timing and rhythm and trust and chemistry that goes into that, and that takes time. Gone from being kind of just a big, strong athlete to a guy who, has some polish as a receiver.
You can say the same for Alvin Kamara, who for at least one game transformed from a situational back that came into the day averaging 13 touches per outing to a bell cow that set a career high with 31, including 15 receptions. It's much higher than the preferred amount, but in a game like this where every single drive was valuable because you knew the opposing offense would probably score the next time out, you throw caution to the wind a bit and put your playmakers on the field.
You felt like guys were pretty gassed by the end of that game, just kind of pouring their heart into it and giving every ounce of energy that they could, including him. So great team win all the way around, very satisfying coming off an effort like that to walk away with a victory.
The moral of the story is sometimes the numbers, like the amount of touches or the records consistently being broken by Brees and Thomas, are a bit overrated. But in the Saints' case, they absolutely tell the story of a trio of playmakers that's playing some of the best football we've ever seen. Reporting on the Black and Gold, I'm Chris Hagan for the Final Play.
If you're looking for a leg up in fantasy football, check out Chris Hagan's Extra Point blog on fox8live.com and our Final Play app. From advice on who to start and sit to forward-thinking strategy, Chris has all of that for you. Still to come here on the Final Play, we switch gears to college. LSU's win streak has now hit 4 games following last night's win over La Tech. And down in the Bayou, Nichols is celebrating what was once considered the unexpected. In the meantime, check out the newest slideshow from LSU football on our Fox 8 News app and website.
Final Play.
At the end of the day, style points don't matter. It's all about winning the game. And in the end, LSU did just that against Louisiana Tech last night, even though the Tigers were a bit Jekyll and Hyde in their execution. Garland Gillen takes a look back at how it all played out.
LSU ran out to a 24-0 advantage against Louisiana Tech, but then the Tigers took the foot off the gas. The Bulldogs mounted a furious comeback, cutting the deficit to 3 in the fourth quarter.
Well, they were protecting and they were getting some passes off. They were throwing the slant, they were throwing the deep ball. They had a great game plan. It just we couldn't stop them.
The running game stunted the Tech rally with the healthy dose of Nick Brissett and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The Baton Rouge natives combined for 214 yards and 5 touchdowns in the contest.
I'll give all the credit to the offensive line, being able to get the push from the front 5 guys, and then just being at the second level so quick is something that a running back enjoys, because then you don't have to negotiate all defensive linemen and the second line. So once you get to that second point, it's something. I mean, and then you started putting runs back to back. You just get comfortable as a running back, and everything just starts to slow down.
I'm proud of him. You know, he's been working really hard the whole week and things like that. And that's like my little brother. So it's a moment of joy. You know, we just have to set the tempo for our offense, and I think we did a pretty good job at that tonight.
With Nick and Clyde, they're like brothers. I mean, it's fantastic to see them do that little thing, and Catholic and you high, they're always talking. I think it's fantastic. They're just like brothers. They two are the best young men on the team. Great character young men. It's good to see them have fun. They pull for each other. That's the way the team ought to be.
The competition will improve with 6 straight SEC matchups for the Tigers. So those quick starts by LSU need to continue throughout the entire game moving forward.
We got a long season ahead of us. We got a gauntlet coming up, so we got to improve and block out the noise. You know, yeah, last week, good win, but we're not as good as everybody's saying we are, and we're not as bad as everybody's saying we are when we do bad. So we know we have a lot to work on.
Going into LSU's matchup with Louisiana Tech, the Tigers were the last team in FBS play to not give up a turnover. Well, that streak ended in the second quarter when Joe Burrow was sacked and fumbled the ball away. In Baton Rouge, Garland Gillen, Fox 8 Sports.
The Tigers' win bumped them up 1 spot to 5th in the latest AP poll. Alabama still on top, followed by Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State. All of those teams won, as did Oklahoma, surviving against Army. They're at number 6, right behind LSU. On the notables page, Auburn is 10th, Central Florida is 13th, Kentucky in the top 25 for the first time in a long time. They're 17th. Mississippi State dropped to 23rd after losing on the Wildcats' home field. Tulane had the toughest challenge on Saturday. They had to visit the Horseshoe to face 4th-ranked Ohio State, and it went as you'd expect. The Greenies ran into a buzzsaw. The Buckeyes are legit, and they had motivation against the wave as they welcomed back head coach Urban Meyer following his 3-game suspension. Meanwhile, Buckeye quarterback Dwayne Haskins showed why he's a Heisman Trophy candidate. He tossed 5 touchdowns and took the second half off. And the Buckeyes' 49-6 win over Tulane. The Wave fall to 1-3 and will host Memphis on Friday. Down in Thibodaux and John L. Guidry Stadium, a massive win by Nicholls State against the Sam Houston State team that's been hard for the Colonels to beat over the years. But yesterday, it all came together for the Colonels, who ran it down the Bearcats' throat 54 times, 248 yards. Chase Forcade also threw it well, 197 yards passing and a touchdown, as the Colonels won it 27-7, snapping a losing streak to Sam Houston State that dates back to 2005, 11 straight games. The Colonels will host Lamar next Saturday. Speaking of Lamar, they'll be looking to get back in the win column after Saturday's loss at home to Southeastern. The Lions had to work for this win, overcoming 5 turnovers by outscoring the Cardinals 20-7 in the second half. They win it 30-24. It was Southeastern's first win of the season and their first victory for head coach Frank Selfo. In the SWAC, Southern rode a local kid to their win over Alabama A&M yesterday. Former John Curtis standout Devin Benn got his hands on the ball 27 times for 130 offensive yards while scoring a couple of touchdowns. It's a big win for Southern, who rallied from an early 21-6 deficit. So turning the page to week 5 on the college football schedule, it's a short week for Tulane as they welcome Memphis to town on Friday. Then on Saturday, ULL battles Alabama, Nicholls hosts Lamar, Southern faces Alcorn State, Southeastern will take on Northwestern State, and the LSU Tigers will welcome Ole Miss to Tiger Stadium. Coming up, the best of prep football's week 4 is on the way, and it's time to start talking pro hoops. Can the Pelicans top last season's playoff run? We'll hear from GM Dell Demps when the final play continues.
Watching the Final Play.
On the high school gridiron last night, a Catholic League battle between St. Aug and Jesuit. Blue Jays in some trouble to end the first quarter. Bad snap goes over the punter's head, recovered inside the 5 by Jaheim Walters. That set up this. Trey Woodson to Mahmoud Bailey. Easy money. Purple Knights up 7-3. But here come the Blue Jays. Robert McMahon back to pass, finds his favorite target, Noah Varnado. Downfield, big pickup in the St. Aug territory. From there, Willie Robinson, the 4th, does the dirty work, piling into the end zone to give the Blue Jays the lead again, 10-7. Same scored late in the second. This time the Purple Knights turn to the running game. How about Albert Quest, the 5th, turning on the Jets for the touchdown, but it was Jesuit with the stronger second half, winning last night 28-21. Our play of the week takes us back to the North Shore and talk about a trip. Josh Bailey connects to Jaden Davenport, and from there, the Fontainebleau senior is sprinting a marathon, 96 yards. Bulldogs get the overtime win, 35-34. So here are this week's Player of the Week nominees. Colin Guggenheim, the quarterback from John Curtis, as they get a win over Brother Martin. He had 3 touchdown passes and 1 touchdown run. Wide receiver Tyler Kirkwood from Holy Cross. They beat Shaw in part because he had 3 touchdown receptions. And running back Jalen Sturgis from Rummel, he had 177 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, and their win over Turlings Catholic. Log on to fox8live.com/player to vote, and voting, of course, runs until Wednesday. Also, head over to Fox 8 News app or to fox8live.com, where we have highlights and scores from Week 4. Plus, you can catch up on the latest recruiting news, check out our weekly power rankings, and preview next week's action. The NBA gets going again at the end of the month. The Pelicans are coming off their deepest playoff run since 2008, but there's been some changes to the roster over the offseason, particularly in the low post, where DeMarcus Cousins is now in Golden State, and the Pels have filled the void by bringing in a host of promising players, including another Kentucky Wildcat in Julius Randle. The team played very well down the stretch without Cousins, so there's an expectation and a hope that they can play well without him again. GM Dell Demps said that's the expectation.
Obviously, we want to win, and you know, I always say the pressure means that you got to embrace the pressure. You got to want the pressure, and so we want the pressure. We like the expectations, but we also know we have a lot of work to do as far as winning. Yeah, we want to win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We want to build off last year. It was great walking into the arena last year and seeing all the red shirts, and even walking around town the off season, you see people with the red shirts with the Pelicans on, and you know, we enjoyed that, and we want to build off it. And when we're out here working, we're thinking about the fans, and we're thinking about putting a team together that they'll be proud and want to support. And we feel like we've done that, and now we got to just go do it on the court.
Preseason games get underway at the end of this month with the Pels visiting Chicago, then on the road in Atlanta, New York, and then Miami. October 11th, their only home preseason game, Raptors. And that's our show for tonight. For all of us here at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. NFL Game Day Prime is coming up next, and we hope you'll join us again next Sunday night for the Final Play.
From Fox 8 Sports, this has been the Final Play.